So I thought something a little bit different today. It's nothing to do with my pedals. It's nothing to do with Audiostorm. I bought a new guitar. It's the first new guitar I bought in ages. This is a Schecter multi-scale. Was it the Schecter Omen Elite 8 multi-scale? Took me a moment then. And I've been after a new 8 string for a while. I like 8 strings a lot. This is my third 8 string. It's my first multi-scale. I did a lot of research trying to pick out what I wanted. And I went for it, so I thought I'd do a little guitar review. Tell you guys what I think of it. So, this is what I'd consider this to be a relatively budget guitar, kicking in the UK around £840 ish at the moment. Relatively budget, you say? Yeah, I know. The price of everything in the world has gone up. If you're not buying cheap Far East imports, then this is to me is where you're really starting price wise, because as a sort of pro player, if you go below this, I don't think you're getting much for your money. Below this, you kind of get cheaper woods, cheaper hardware, corners cut. This is sort of, for me, the turning point at which things begin to get good. So you've still got, Schecter's own tuners, which I'm fine with. I like an ordinary tuner. I'm not into the locking tuner thing. I just think it's surplus faff. I mean, they work. They're nice. They're clean. You got I forget, one of those fancy nut materials, whatever it's called, like Graph Tech or something, I don't remember. Nice nut, same thing, nice hardware at the tail end there. The Schecter pickups, again, I've forgotten what they're called. I got this up here just because I know I'd forget all this stuff. So here we go. The Schecter Diamond Heretic. And that's my first sort of point of call here today, is to talk about those, because I think when you're buying an 8 string, and especially a multi-scale, replacement pickups are really expensive and you haven't got the choice of the 6. So I think it's really important to spend a bit extra to make sure you're getting pickups you like at the point of purchase on something like this, because if you start swapping these out, you're looking 300, 400, £500 sets, and you could buy a set and then not like it, and you immediately spent most of the cost of your guitar before you've got going. And I think these pickups had really great reviews. When I tried them out, I thought, yeah, absolutely fine. I've got no desire to swap them out. They sound, and this is a really good thing, so they sound a little less metal, which is what I was looking for. So again, 8 multi-scales tend to be metal, and I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for something with a bit more versatility. I can get in my fingers and sort of do my whole... and so the bridge is quite a metal, sharp type pickup, but the neck is quite, dare I say it, it's almost a touch quacky, it's almost a touch stratty, and that had me straight away. I mean, I'm not comparing this to a true Strat single coil in any way, but there's a nod to it. And with the 5-way, 2 and 4 positions, they do that kind of stratty thing of sounding a bit muted. They take the high out, and I thought it was really nice. You get 5 really good positions going from a sort of sort of high gain metal, not too high gain at the bridge, a slightly muddier sort of warmer feel one, a classic mid-range position, which is actually really well balanced. I really like the mid position. This position 3, position 4, 2. Which way are we going? 4. Neck. Anyway, neck. No, and I don't know what's actually happening with the coils on this. I've not even looked up whether they're are we doing actual single coils? We're doing splits. I don't know. It's a little warmer anyway. I like it. And then full on neck has kind of got a stratty bite to it, which is really just a win. So you've got 5 really good sounds that are diverse and not inherently all metal, which it's great. You want metal, it's there, but there's also not metal. Really cool pickups, and they really look good because they've got that translucent finish, so you can kind of see the red coils through them. So that's first point of call. Really happy with that. While we're on the hardware, let's carry on with the hardware again. Say bridge, very light, very easy to adjust. Typical for guitar manufacturers, in my opinion, came out of the box set up all wrong and all over the place. It's just how it is. You're going to want to set it up. Strings were probably a little too low for me. I tend to lift them a little higher than they say. I like that. I've got quite powerful fingers. The knobs are really nice. I really like these clear knobs with the little rubber ring. You can't see the numbers on them at all when you're looking at them. But I mean, who really looks down and says, I'm at volume 3? I'm not going to look at those, but the rubber ring's nice, and anyone who's into the larger knobs knows it's more turning. So you're not going to do a speed flick with these as much, but you've got a bit more fine grain control. Volume and tone, straightforward, lovely. So all in all, hardware is really nice. The threats are like medium, they're not jumbo, which is, again, I really like that. Again, a nod away from the jumbo metal into sort of a medium fret kind of thing. Medium, I say, it's a little medium thin to me, almost looking on my other guitars. So again, more versatile in my opinion. And as I've said earlier, the tuners are fine. They look like sort of they're Schecter's own. They're sort of they look like Grover rip-offs, you know. The sort of very common. I try to rotate this without chipping my guitar. Grover rip-offs. So these are all really good things. The hardware's really good. Socket works fine. Nudge something. Really happy there. Strings that come with it. This is one of my bugbears on 8s. This is bugbear on both my other 8s. You know, we start off with a fairly standard set of 6s, generally speaking. Being a multi-scale, we can start a little lower at a 9 and go a little thicker, but they don't really done much with that. I think they just put 6s on for the 6, for the high 6. Then the low 2, the extras, as it were. You know, that string 2. Generally, they're okay and they step that up a reasonable amount, but then string 1, it's like it's never fat enough. Guys, stop. Put fatter strings on. You know, both my other 8s, I've drilled out the tuner and put in a bass tuner. Actually, one's got 3 and one's got 2 bass tuners. But the most important thing was that string 1, because we're faffing around with our sets of 8-string strings with like strings that have a dual layer winding, which this does, so it fits through a tiny little hole and a tiny little peg. Just suck it up and put a full-size bass tuner on there. Stop it. You know, it's limiting our choices. So this comes with, I think this comes with Ernie Ball with the light top, heavy bottoms, whatever, which are one of the thickest 8-string sets you can get, going to like 80. 80 is not enough. I think this needs to be 90 or 95. I'm gonna experiment with that. I'm gonna have to do it at some point. So, you know, for 80, if you down tune it, if you're tuning to E, it's just about acceptable. But if you down tune that bottom past, well, you know, not E, but if you're tuning normal tuning, what is that? E, A, whatever. But if you're tuning it down to say E flat or something, it's just like, because I think I'm there somewhere. It's just a little bit loose, and you know it's loose. You kind of go, that's nice, that's nice, that's a bit loose. Oh, it's a bit loose. So not a complaint on this guitar above any other, because every single 8-string I have tried has this problem, and every single set of 8-string strings. So again, I say this again, drill it out, whack a bass tuner in. It's going to cost you a fortune, because every time you get a set of strings, you're going to go out and buy a separate E string, ideally from the same brand, manufacturer, range, style, or you can get tonal differences. Don't do that, by the way. I've done that. Stainless and nickel split sets. It sounds really weird. So yeah, it costs you a lot of money to do that, until hopefully the manufacturers listen to us and put a bass tuner in the bottom string. Stop it. Just suck it up and give us a 90 or a 95. That's what we want, not 80. You know? Anyway. All in all, really, really nice. Plays really nice. Intonation, once tweaked, is really nice. Tones, really versatile. I love the woods. I love all of it. The rosewood fingerboard is lovely. The maple neck, I believe. The mahogany body. I mean, mahogany. Who knows which mahogany? And the burl cap. Though, is it poplar burl? I forget. I really like the cap on this. The photos on the website show it's quite blue. Now this one's actually much more turquoise, and I was really happy when I saw that. I was like, yeah, I like the turquoise. It's also not too burly in my case. They vary, I know, but I don't like too much burl, because too many little dots all over it makes it look like it's got a disease, in my opinion. Whereas a few makes it look like an ocean floor, and I think this is really cool. So really nice song to play. Now things I'm not as keen on. First thing is, photos on the website showed it with a mahogany stained back, and it doesn't, it's black. And I think this really looks like you've just rubbed it in coal dirt. It looks awful. Frankly, luckily you guys never have to see that, but I think that's a classic case of someone in marketing shot someone down, because clearly with a guitar like this, they're saying, well, maybe there's a market for 8s beyond the metal community. Let's try and do something that's not a black guitar, that doesn't look like it's got an angry god etched into its soul. Maybe something just looks like a really nice guitar, and they've done that with the finish on the front. It looks beautiful. And then someone in marketing, they've gone, you can't put brown wood on a metal guitar, and they've made them stain it black. And yeah, it's a real shame that, I think, you know, if you look at it there, it just looks dirty. And the same goes for the neck to some extent. I wish they'd left that just unstained, just oil it or something, left the maple. A maple neck would have looked good. Those colours, especially the turquoise, brown, a light brown and a maple with that turquoise would have been beautiful. So I'm a bit pissed at that, if I'm honest, but you know, and it sort of shows, I mean, you see on it sort of shows on the edge there as it's just sort of matte kind of. I think the model up from this, it's another £500. I had a go on that before I bought this. It is a better guitar. Is it worth another 500? Yes, if you have it. But if you don't have it, you're really not missing out on much because this is also a lovely guitar. So yeah, there we go. I think that's about it for my review of this. I'm not going to plug it in and play it. It was just a bit of talking because I just wanted to. Because I'm sat here playing it, covered in fingerprints, and I thought, oh, people can look at it. So yeah, go out, Schecter. Really, really nice. Definitely worth the money I paid for it. I feel happy. I feel like it's something I'm going to really love and play. And multi-scale, isn't my comment on multi-scale, actually, I should add this in. This is my first multi-scale, and I was quite worried that I've read a lot of different opinions on transitioning to this. Absolutely no problem at all for me. I'll tell you how I perceive it. When I look at the guitar this way, let's rotate it around for you guys. So if you look at it like this, you have to mess with the camera a little just to get there. Look at that. How's that look? That looks kind of flat, doesn't it? How mad is that? Because from a bird's eye kind of perspective on top, it just looks like an exaggerated perspective. So, if I hold it there, you can see it's a multi-scale, but as you tip it, so it's your view towards it, it just looks like an exaggerated perspective. So, and my eyes looking at it take it that way. I just look at it and I see it looks like exaggerated perspective, and I adapt it to it almost immediately. Now, I am more of a mixed player. I play different instruments and I use my fingers a bit. I use all different things a bit. So maybe that affects the way I see it. Maybe if you're more of I've only played strats or I only do bar chords, you're going to have a harder time. But I really wouldn't fear the multi-scale. I actually love it. I would go as far as saying this is easier to play for me. Straight away, I feel like I've come home and the multi-scale is actually slightly easier than the non-multi-scale, which is not at all what I expected. I'm very pleased about it in one way and not in another, because that now means I've got to spend even more on guitars going forward. I'd love to get one with a Kayla next. I think that would be the way, but we're going to be looking a couple of grand for that rather than hundreds. We're going to look in the thousands. So yeah, there we go. Yeah, if you're looking in the market for a multi-scale 8, I cannot recommend this highly enough. My other 8s that I mentioned are a cheap Harley Benton, which was my first one just to try it out. Perfectly lovely guitar, nothing wrong with it. Just a bit boring, to be honest, and it's not very prestigious. It's not inspirational. And an RG8, which I also have, and I just hated the pickups on it. I hated the sound out of it. I hated everything about it, apart from the neck. Actually, there's one more thing. The neck on the RG8 does beat this. And the neck on this feels lumpy. It's hard to explain that. Move up and down. There's a sense of it being. It feels lovely and satin, but it feels unfinished somehow too. Lumpy, like it's not been finished off properly. The thickness stays very consistent across it, but as I move my thumb up and down, I'm like, I can feel something in it, like an imperfection. It's very wide as well. I prefer that over the Ibanez. At the headstock end, it feels slightly wider, this, and it makes me feel more like I'm moving up and down a board. The Ibanez is slightly easier. The RG8 is slightly easier to wrap your fingers around. The RG8 is not multi-scale. I'm on. It's the ordinary RG8, not the arch top, just the RG8. So, but it's definitely the RG8 has a superior neck. In terms of access, I'd say this is probably slightly superior to the RG8. Actually, it's a very, very shallow access, borderline, negligible. So yeah, I don't think. I think maybe there's a little room for improvement on the neck here. It's a little rushed, but it's nothing that's going to hinder you in any way. No good guitarist is going to say, "Oh, this neck is a problem," other than it being obviously massive. Now I have massive hands. Also, as far as 8s go, I mean, look, here we go. So you just see wrapping a thumb around that so you can see how big my hands are. And so for me, I actually find this more comfortable than a 6. So your money will vary on that. But if all in all, I think that's basically worth mentioning. It's well finished. It's a nice neck. It's not quite as good as an Ibanez, but I personally think everything else is nicer than the Ibanez, if I'm honest. My RG8 is currently in pieces because I'm drilling holes in it to try and make it better because I don't like it. Maybe I'll show you that in another video. So yeah, absolutely nothing to do with Audiostorm. It's a great guitar. Oh god, I could give an Audiostorm plug. I've got one. Got one for you. It turns out, this is my personal Grand Classic pedal, which is why it's white. You can't have one in white. I'm very sorry. I always make a white one for myself because, you know, you've got to keep something for yourself. But the Audiostorm Grand Classic distortion pedal. Now, when I was designing this, I did have the that Harley Benton 8-string lying around. I'd use it quite occasionally, but I never really consciously did it. But it turns out this is a brutally good 8-string distortion. Wow! Pure fluke. You know, I've got to be honest. I really aimed this to be a nuanced, sensitive distortion that would allow you to roll back and keep all the pick attack of your guitar. You know, a really high gain distortion with control. Turns out, because I didn't roll the bass off, I kept the bass because I thought, oh, I want to. Most distortion pedals, you take the bass out, makes them tighter. Didn't do that because I was going for natural. Turns out, by not taking it out, this thing with an 8 is amazing. I will shoot some videos with some actual Audiostorm videos with the. God, it's glaring horribly, isn't it? This in here, I can't quite get it. Anyway, it's a brutally good 8-string heavy distortion, which also means it probably works with bass properly. I mean, I ran a bass through it when I was designing it, but I didn't really pay attention, so that sounds all right. But yeah, because it's full frequency range. Yeah, metal. Also, not metal. Peace.